What you're about to hear will impact the rest of your life. Yesterday, a former Palantir exec blew the whistle. It is factually correct that Palantir intended to take over the US government while heavily funding the effort. Many of my ex-colleagues are now installed inside the US government apparatus. The enemy is within. And we are currently an occupied nation. We basically have a terrorist entity deeply embedding itself into the US government. In this video, I'm going to help you understand why Palantir is so bad, how they plan to control you for eternity or kill you, how they're taking over the American empire right now, and how this is the product of decades of planning by billionaires to lead to this very moment. This may very well be one of the worst things to happen during our lifetimes. In 2004, Palantir was founded by Alex Karp and Peter Thiel. Immediately, the CIA's investment fund, In-Q-Tel, dumped millions into their new startup, signaling that the empire recognized the value of their technology and opening the door to Palantir for every major government agency. This is exactly what In-Q-Tel was designed to do. The American ruling class recognized long ago that the state's coercive power, the surveillance, the targeting, the data harvesting could be more effectively and more profitably run through private companies. When a government agency does surveillance, there is oversight committees, FOIA requests, hearings. But when a private company does these things, it is a protected trade secret. This strategy explains why our leaders shovel hundreds of billions of our tax dollars into the private war industry every single year. And then there's the Jeffrey Epstein connection. Epstein spent years cultivating a relationship with Palantir's co-founder, Peter Thiel. He called Thiel a great friend. DOJ files show there are hundreds of exchanges between the two men. Epstein even invested $40 million of his own dollars into one of Thiel's projects. But most importantly, Epstein was actively brokering introductions between Palantir executives and Israeli government officials, including former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak. And in these meetings, Israeli national security policy, surveillance, tech deals, and AI warfare was all on the table. JobSite News has exposed a mountain of evidence in 2026 documenting Epstein's ties to Mossad and the Zionist regime, where he even brokered national security agreements for the state of Israel with other foreign nations. And he also did a lot of work importing war tech from Israel into American companies with the help of Ehud Barak. And it seems like it's quite apparent that Palantir was introduced to Israel's war chest through Epstein's influence. So what did that CIA money grow into? Palantir sells mass slaughter or mass surveillance, and sometimes both. Their platforms such as AIP creates war plans for elites, warmongers, and fascists. They have a platform called Gotham, which consolidates mass surveillance to build what they call AI kill chains. They have something called Titan, which is exclusively with the US empire, that pulls space data to generate targets and kill lists for our empire. They have Mosaic, which extracts data, our data, scrapes everything about us off of social media. Right now, Palantir relies on Amazon AWS, Oracle, Meta, and Anthropic technology to build and train their AI killing machines and mass surveillance platforms, which they then sell to the regimes of the world. Lavender, Where's Daddy, and The Gospel are names Israel's IDF have given to the AI killing machines that Palantir sold them, which were the technology that enabled the systematic erasure of all civilization in the occupied Gaza Strip. Palantir's leaders, Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, have no regard for human life. They laugh at people's faces who are angry at the families they obliterated. They openly brag about terrorizing the world and the American people until we are paralyzed with fear and can do nothing to stop them. Recently, Palantir executives were exposed for bragging about training off of Israel's ongoing genocide, saying, when you bomb people massively in a densely populated area, they do a lot of things. But when phones are not moving, they are useless to us. It is only when you move it that it produces data for us to be able to train the algorithms. So in a densely populated like Gaza, you bomb people, they, if they're not dead, they run around, they try to escape, they are removed from one place to another, they make phone calls, they try to find their loved ones, they rush to the hospital isn't there, they run even more. There is a lot of movement that we can train the algorithms. That is what Palantir's tech executive said. But Palantir's technologies, which are created on the back of a genocide, haven't stayed in Gaza. They haven't stayed overseas. They have already come home to oppress the American people. Last June, Palantir netted an $800 million contract with the US empire to provide their AI targeting system to our imperial forces. Also last year, the US government started incorporating tech executives into the military, swearing them in as lieutenant colonels, including one of Palantir's executives. Palantir runs the surveillance platforms that ICE, the American IDF, uses, that has given them the ability to surveil anyone, track their location, their cell phone history, everything about them. There are thousands of police departments in America who currently use their Gotham platform. Palantir has created a master database under Trump's second term that incorporated every single piece of data the government has on its citizens, and they've also infiltrated the health data of the UK and Australian people. This is not innocuous tech. It's being used in your hometowns to surveil those who dissent against the US and Israeli governments, those who protest, and those who cause disruption. This is well documented. Palantir extends across borders. They were behind the illegal capture of Venezuelan President Maduro, Israel's terrorist pager attack on Lebanon, and the United States' recent carpet bombing of Iran, including that girl's elementary school, which they decided to triple strike. First the children, then the parents and first responders, and then the Iranian media who documented it. Palantir continues to benefit from the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Hundreds of billions in dollars flowed into their valuation. They have become the most valued war corporation and surveillance corporation on this planet, and for the last 2 years they were the highest performing stock in the S&P. In exchange for the blood of millions, they've been able to launch their infiltration of the American empire, installing their people at top roles inside every branch of government, and it didn't end with the US. They've dug their claws into countries across the globe. They even moved to silence the platforms most critical of their work. Palantir benefited massively and was also instrumental in forcing TikTok to sell to Zionist billionaire Larry Ellison of the Oracle Corporation. Palantir's senior advisor, Jacob Hellberg, contacted over 100 Congress members personally, pushing them to force the sale. Mike Gallagher, the congressman who wrote the law that forced the sale of TikTok, was funded by Palantir, and he left Congress as soon as the law's future was secured. And where did he go after that? To work for Palantir as head of defense. And he even admitted about a year later that the forced sale was motivated by critics of Israel on TikTok, not China, not national security. Think about it. Silence the most critical platform of the genocide you're training your AI algorithms on, so you can continue raking in hundreds of billions of dollars and training those nasty little AI killing machines. This is extremely dangerous once you understand what these people actually think. Peter Thiel has plainly stated he doesn't believe democracy and freedom are compatible. He's a devoted follower and financial patron of Curtis Yarvin, a political theorist who says democracy is a failed system and ought to be replaced with a corporate absolute monarchy, a CEO king with unchecked control over the state. J.D. Vance, who is now Vice President of the United States, has cited Yarvin by name in interviews, and he was bankrolled, mentored, and politically launched by Thiel from the very beginning. Project 2025 follows Yarvin's philosophy almost to the letter. Install a strongman, hollow out the bureaucracy, and ignore the courts. And I need you to understand that Palantir is more of an ideological project than a war project. They're becoming the instrument of permanent class domination. When academics describe techno-fascism, which is when tech elites install their political beliefs into their technology and their infrastructure in order to suppress resistance, they are describing Palantir exactly. Palantir is a project whose founders are completely loyal to the Epstein class of elites, to the Zionist project of Israel, to the ongoing genocide of Palestinians. They're loyal to mass slaughter and mass surveillance. They do not believe in democracy. They don't believe in your human rights, and they want to rule you forever. Their tech slaughters hundreds of thousands of living, breathing human beings. They hunt human beings across borders. Their executives are now holding military ranks and are installed at the highest levels of our federal government while enriching themselves. They are no longer serving the state, which created them. They have become the state. And that is the part that should terrify you more than anything else, because what I've described to you isn't a future to come. This already happened. The merger is complete. The executives are installed, the kill chains are running, the surveillance is live, dissenters are targeted and jailed, and the media has all been silenced or sold. There's no cavalry coming for us. Palantir has ushered in a new era of American imperialism as it was designed to do so. Techno-fascism is here. They are the operating system of the empire, of global suffering, of global domination, and will be a fact for the rest of our lives unless we take them down. So the question is not whether Palantir is dangerous. The whistleblowers have answered that. The dead children of Gaza have answered that. The children of Iran, Lebanon, Syria, Yemen, and so many more are crying out to you. The American families ripped apart by ICE, by the secret police, have answered that for us. The question is, what are you gonna do about it? Because every day we stay silent, we scroll past, they spend that day digging deeper, making it harder for us to remove them from our lives. They're betting that you won't act. You'll feel too small, too overwhelmed, too paralyzed, because that is the fear they designed this system to produce. Prove them wrong. My name is Guy Christensen. I'm an independent political commentator. You can support my work and get me in the future without any censorship by going to yourfavoriteguy.com. Thank you, and free fucking Palestine.